The battlefield still smoked with the acrid tang of plasma fire. The air shimmered with heat, carrying the bitter scent of scorched metal and flesh. It had been a slaughter, not a battle. Human soldiers and alien warriors clashing in the jagged ruins of a city neither species call home. Sergeant David Core wiped the grime from his brow, though it only smeared deeper into the lines of his weathered face. He had survived another push against the THR-Wycan, towering reptilian warriors with obsidian armor and blades carved from living bone. Both sides had lost too many, and the dead littered the ruins like discarded dolls. The retreat call blared through his calm human command, wanted every surviving soldier back at the rally point before the THR-Wycan regrouped. David exhaled, exhaustion dragging at his bones. He turned, ready to follow when a sound caught him. Not the harsh guttural shouts of THR-Wycan, nor the sharp commands of his squad. This was softer, shaky, a sound out of place. It was crying. David frowned, gripping his rifle tighter as he followed the noise into a collapsed courtyard. There, among broken columns and charred banners, lay a THR-Wycan warrior. Its armor was cracked, scales blackened from fire. A jagged beam pinned its leg to the ground. The warrior's chest heaved. Its blade lay inches away, just out of reach. But what froze David wasn't the sight of a dying enemy. It was a sound. The THR-Wycan was sobbing, voice breaking in its alien tongue, raw with pain and desperation. He had never imagined them capable of such a sound. They were supposed to be merciless, unyielding predators. Yet here was one, broken and pleading. Through cracked translator tones, the alien's voice filtered. "Mercy, mercy, please." David's squad was already gone. The retreat clock ticked in his head. No one would know if he left the warrior here to die. That was the clean choice, the soldier's choice. But David didn't move. He remembered the faces of the dead, friends, enemies, civilians, and how the line between them blurred once the screaming stopped. "Damn it," he muttered. He slung his rifle and crouched. The warrior's eyes, golden and slitted, widened in shock. David braced himself under the beam and shoved. His muscles screamed. Slowly, the stone shifted enough to free the alien's mangled leg. The warrior hissed in pain but didn't strike. "Can you walk?" David asked, though he doubted the translator caught the nuance. The alien tried, failed, then collapsed with a growl that was half a sob. David sighed. Figures. He ripped open his med pack and bound the worst of the wounds, hands steady despite the absurdity of it all. He was patching up a THR-Wycan, something that would have earned him a court-martial if command ever found out. When he was done, the warrior stared at him, stunned. "Why?" the translator croaked. David shouldered the alien's arm across his back. "Because you asked." The retreat route was long and perilous. Twice David had to duck into ruins as human patrols swept past. If they saw him helping an enemy, they'd shoot first and ask later. Every step dragged him deeper into gray between duty and conscience. The THR-Wycan leaned on him heavily, but never tried to harm him. Instead, it watched him with a strange intensity, as though unable to reconcile what was happening. At one point, when they paused to rest, the alien rasped, "You are enemy." "Yeah," David admitted, "but you're bleeding out, and I'm the only one here. Guess that makes us something else." The alien was silent for a long time. Then, "My name? Shakar." David blinked. He hadn't expected a name. "David," he said after a pause. "Sergeant David Core." Shakar nodded, as though the exchange sealed something unspoken between them. Night fell, and with it came the predators of the ruins. Feral drones left from the city's original defense systems. They skittered in the dark, hunting anything that moved. One found them. A metallic hound with serrated jaws lunged from the shadows, eyes burning red. David fired, shot sparking against its frame, but it kept coming. Shakar roared, snatching up a broken spear. Despite his injury, he drove the weapon into the drone's core, sparks showering as it collapsed. Breathing hard, Shakar looked at David, blood still dripping from his leg. "Now, I save you." David smirked despite the danger. "Guess that makes us even." But they weren't even. Something deeper had shifted. By dawn, they reached the edge of the no-man's land, where human lines stood bristling with guns. David knew he couldn't drag Shakar further without getting them both killed. "This is where we split," David said quietly. "You head that way." He pointed toward the shattered mountains where THRYkin banners once flew. "And hope you people find you." Shakar's golden eyes narrowed. "And you?" "I go back. Pretend I never saw you." Shakar studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, the alien bent forward in a gesture that seemed like a bow. Mercy remembered. The translator whispered, "Det ode." David watched him limp away until he vanished into the smoke. Then he turned and walked toward his own lines, the weight of silence heavy on his shoulders. Weeks passed. The war ground on, battles blurring together. David tried to bury that night, but the memory returned in dreams. Shakar's broken plea, the strange bond they had forged. He told no one. Who would believe him? Then came the siege of Spire. Humans were losing, pinned against the cliffs with no way out. Command had already whispered about a last stand. The THRYkin descended in force. David braced himself for the end. And then roars shook the cliffs. From the smoke marched a host of THRYkin warriors, not toward the humans, but against their own kin. At their front limped a figure with golden eyes, armor scarred but head held high. Shakar. Chaos erupted. Betrayal tore through the THRYkin ranks, buying the humans precious time. David fought, stunned and furious all at once, until the battle ended with the enemy routed. Later, when the dust settled, Shakar approached him. Behind him stood dozens of THRYkin who had followed his call. "You stayed," Shakar said simply. "Now I stay." David swallowed hard. He realized in that mercy had done more than save a single warrior. It had shifted the tide of a war. And all because when the alien warrior cried for mercy, only a human stayed behind.